For centuries, Earth had been considered an insignificant planet, far from the reach of the galactic powers that dominated the universe. Humanity had never faced any serious alien threats, nor had they ever imagined that their world would be thrust into the galactic spotlight. Earth's history was mostly marked by internal struggles, wars, and moments of progress, but it was always isolated, both in terms of technology and intergalactic relations. In a universe teeming with more advanced species, Earth was a backwater, small, undeveloped world, with a relatively primitive space program compared to the advanced empire-building alien civilizations around them. They had made no significant impact on galactic affairs, and had no idea of the vast powers that existed beyond their world. However, the arrival of the Clarth Empire, a ruthless and technologically superior alien race, would change everything. The Clarth, once the dominant force in the galactic arena, now turned their attention to Earth. They viewed humanity as insignificant, a race easily dominated due to their lack of interstellar power and underdeveloped technology. Earth, to the Clarth Empire, was nothing more than an untapped resource waiting to be conquered. The Clarth Empire's mission was clear: to subjugate humanity, strip the planet of its resources, and enslave the population to fuel their own empires. Expansion. Earth, with its relatively low-tech defenses, would be a simple conquest for the Clarth fleet. The initial invasion was expected to be swift, leaving humanity no time to react. The moment the Clarth warships appeared on Earth's radar, the world was thrown into panic. Humanity had never faced an alien force so powerful, and this sudden invasion caught them completely off guard. The Clarth fleet, a massive armada of advanced warships, descended upon Earth without warning, triggering widespread fear and confusion. The Clarth warships were equipped with weapons far beyond anything humanity had developed. Their energy shields and devastating plasma cannons easily tore through Earth's outer defense networks, crippling the planet's military infrastructure. Satellites were destroyed, military bases obliterated, and key cities faced airstrikes from the alien armada. The first wave of attacks was devastating. No one could prepare for the sheer ferocity of the invasion. In a matter of hours, Earth's global communication systems were disrupted, and the Clarth fleet began establishing a strategic foothold over the planet. Earth's government scrambled to react, but they were already too late. Humanity, for the first time, was powerless against a galactic threat. The Clarth Empire's objective was clear: the complete subjugation of humanity. They believed that Earth, with its limited spacefaring technology, would be a quick and easy conquest. What they didn't count on, however, was the resilience of humanity. The fear and dismay that initially gripped Earth quickly turned into something stronger: a spirit of defiance. While the first few hours were filled with panic, fear, and a sense of helplessness, a shift began to occur in the hearts and minds of Earth's people. The immediate reaction of dismay gave way to the realization that they could not afford to succumb to fear. The Clarth, though technologically superior, had underestimated humanity's resilience and unwillingness to yield. Humanity's fight for survival had only just begun. As the Clarth's attacks continued to devastate Earth, world leaders gathered, in secret. Despite the losses, they were determined not to give in. Earth's military forces, though initially devastated by the overwhelming alien assault, began to regroup. The leaders of Earth, now faced with an existential threat, realized that they had to unite to form a global resistance against the invaders. Humanity's survival depended on their ability to adapt, mobilize, and fight back. Earth's leaders, military strategists, and scientists convened in hastily assembled war rooms, working together to develop strategies for resistance. Humanity's military, though initially inferior to the Clarth Empire's overwhelming firepower, was not without its own strengths. Humanity's ingenuity and resourcefulness would be the key to their survival. Even with limited technology, Earth had never backed down from adversity before. History had proven that humanity had the will to fight, and this would be no different. Captain Maya Rivers, a respected military strategist, was among the first to step forward. She recognized that Earth's defense would not rely on conventional warfare alone, but would have to be a battle of wits and resilience. Earth's military, bolstered by the united spirit of its people, began preparing for the resistance. The first counterattacks were launched, using hit-and-run tactics and guerrilla warfare to strike at the Clarth's vulnerable supply lines. The resistance was only just beginning, but humanity's resolve was clear: they would not be enslaved. Earth's fighting spirit began to grow, and even in the face of overwhelming destruction, humanity refused to surrender. The moment the Clarth Empire's massive fleet entered Earth's atmosphere, the planet was plunged into chaos. The Clarth, with their highly advanced war machines and planetary invasion strategies, began their assault with relentless efficiency. Their warships hovered above Earth's cities like looming shadows, casting a sense of doom over the planet. The Clarth fleet launched massive land invasions with robotic ground forces and alien biomachines that swarmed Earth's surface, crushing everything in their path. Earth's first line of defense was quickly overwhelmed. Earth's military forces, though brave, were no match for the technologically superior enemy. The Clarth's ships unleashed devastating plasma blasts, destroying Earth's military installations and satellite defenses in seconds. Major cities were bombarded, and military bases were wiped out within hours. New York, London, Moscow, and several other global capitals were reduced to ruins as the Clarth Empire showed no mercy. It was a one-sided attack. The Clarth were too powerful, their technology far beyond Earth's capabilities. Captain Emma Hayes, a seasoned military officer, was among the first to witness the devastation on the ground. Her military unit was stationed at Fort Solace, one of Earth's primary military bases. It wasn't long before the base was overrun by Clarth invaders. The fierce alien ground troops charged into the base, their alien armor impervious to Earth's conventional weapons. The Clarth's robotic war machines annihilated Earth's defenders, leaving Hayes' unit with limited options. But even in the face of overwhelming odds, humanity refused to surrender. The first defense forces, though initially outmatched and caught off guard, made their stand. Captain Hayes, leading her team, directed a series of coordinated strikes on alien supply lines and weak points in the enemy's armor. She quickly realized that human ingenuity and resourcefulness would be their greatest weapons. Despite humanity's technological inferiority, Earth's soldiers fought back with unmatched ferocity. The Clarth, having underestimated humanity's ability to adapt and fight, found themselves facing an enemy unlike any they had encountered before. The human forces engaged in guerrilla tactics, sabotaging the alien forces wherever they could. Captain Emma Hayes was at the forefront of this resistance, organizing hit-and-run strikes against Clarth bases, using Earth's advanced camouflage and stealth technology to outmaneuver the invaders. One of the most significant moments of the first clash came when Captain Hayes and her team launched a coordinated assault on the Clarth supply convoy, which was transporting crucial war materials to their ground forces. The human forces used explosives, disruptive weapons, and energy mines to cause massive damage to the Clarth's logistics network, slowing their advance. The alien invaders were not used to such resilience. They had expected to crush Earth's defenses quickly and efficiently, but humanity was fighting back with everything they had. Throughout the first encounter, Captain Hayes observed that the Clarth had vastly superior firepower, but lacked the tactical creativity that humanity had, developed through centuries of warfare. The alien invaders relied heavily on their advanced technologies, but humanity's ability to adapt and use limited resources in innovative ways allowed them to surprise the Clarth at every turn. The first human resistance may have been small and disorganized, but the Clarth Empire had severely underestimated humanity, and it was becoming clear that Earth was not an easy target. As the battle dragged on and humanity's forces fought to regroup and push back, Captain Emma Hayes knew that Earth's last chance to survive was in their ability to inspire the rest of the planet to join the fight. As the Vorek fleet continued to devastate Earth's forces, it became increasingly clear that the human resistance would need more than just guerrilla tactics. It needed unity, leadership, and a strong sense of purpose. Standing before her team of weary soldiers, Captain Hayes delivered a rallying speech that would go down in human history as the moment that humanity's spirit truly ignited. She spoke with unwavering confidence, knowing that this was not just about survival, it was about fighting for their future. This is not just a fight for Earth. This is a fight for every living thing in this galaxy. We were born to fight, and we will not stop. The Clarth may be powerful, but they will never break our spirit. We are the defenders of this world, and no matter how dark it gets, we will rise again. Together, we will make them regret ever thinking we were weak. Her words resonated with every soldier in the room, igniting a spark of defiance. The Clarth believed they were the dominant force in the galaxy, but they had miscalculated humanity's strength. The speech rallied the resistance forces, who now stood ready to defend their homes, their families, and their planet at all costs. As the speech concluded, Captain Hayes led her forces to engage in a counteroffensive, determined to show the Clarth that humanity would never surrender. The first human resistance, now emboldened, began fighting back with a newfound strength, taking the fight directly to the Clarth. The Clarth, once confident in their ability to conquer Earth, began to realize that humanity was not so easily crushed. The battle for Earth was far from over, but this was the moment when Earth's resistance gained the momentum it so desperately needed. In the wake of the Clarth Empire's devastating invasion, humanity's first priority was survival. Earth's military forces, though valiant in their defense, had been vastly outmatched by the Clarth's technology. Despite the initial setbacks, the spirit of resistance grew stronger within humanity. Earth's military leaders and scientists knew that if they were to stand any chance of defeating the Vorek Empire, they had to find a way to adapt. Fast. Dr. Kyle Anderson, a brilliant Earth scientist with expertise in alien technology, was at the forefront of humanity's struggle to reverse engineer the Clarth technology. His team, a mixture of scientists, engineers, and military strategists, had been working relentlessly since the invasion began, trying to understand the alien weapons, ships, and the advanced technologies that had crippled Earth's defenses. The Clarth's warships, which had been nearly impenetrable, provided an invaluable opportunity for Earth scientists to study their construction and technology. The first breakthrough came when Dr. Anderson's team managed to extract vital data from the Clarth's war machines. The alien power systems were unlike anything Earth had ever seen. They were based on a hybrid technology that utilized a combination of gravitational manipulation and dark energy, a source of power capable of powering enormous ships and weapons for extended periods. The problem was that humanity lacked the infrastructure and understanding to replicate such technology. But the breakthrough came when Dr. Anderson realized that the Clarth's energy shields could be adapted to Earth's defense systems. Dr. Anderson quickly assembled a team of engineers and military experts to study the Clarth shields. The concept was revolutionary. By harnessing the Clarth's energy shields, humanity could create an impenetrable defense to protect cities and military bases. However, the energy shield systems were extremely complex, and integrating them with Earth's current technologies was no small feat. Yet, the discovery was a game-changer. It was the first real step in turning the tide against the Clarth Empire, but there was more to be done. Dr. Anderson and his team realized that the shield technology could be further developed into a weaponized form. With the Clarth tech in hand, they began working on energy disruptors, weapons capable of neutralizing the Vorek fleet's energy shields and disabling their advanced defensive systems. After weeks of intense experimentation, Dr. Anderson's team finally had a breakthrough that would change the course of humanity's fight. By adapting the Clarth shield technology, they developed an energy disruptor capable of emitting a pulse that would overload and disable alien shields. The weapon, once perfected, could be fired from a distance, instantly crippling Vorek ships. By cutting off their primary defense, their energy shields, the energy disruptor was humanity's first true advantage in the war. For the first time, humans had a weapon that could level the playing field. The Clarth's powerful shields, which had previously been invulnerable to Earth's weapons, were now vulnerable to a single direct hit from the energy disruptors. The HFY first successful test of the energy disruptor came when Earth's military forces used it against a Vorak warship. The Clarth shields, which had been virtually impervious to Earth's traditional weapons, were rendered useless. The disruptor pulse disabled the Vorak's defensive systems, allowing Earth's military fighters to get in close and deliver a decisive blow to the alien ship. The Vorak, stunned by the turn of events, began to realize that their superior technology was no longer a guaranteed victory. Dr. Anderson stood back and watched, his heart pounding in his chest. The first victory with the new weapon was a glimmer of hope for humanity, but it was only the beginning. There was much more work to be done before Earth's forces could launch a full-scale counterattack. Dr. Kyle Anderson, once a mild-mannered scientist focused on pure research, now found himself at the center of humanity's fight for survival. The pressure on him and his team was immense, and the task of developing technology that could turn the tide of war weighed heavily on his shoulders. He had never imagined that his knowledge of alien technology would become so crucial. But now, his discoveries were humanity's most precious weapon. As Dr. Anderson worked tirelessly in the lab, he found himself constantly caught between the excitement of discovery and the overwhelming responsibility that came with using this newfound power. The disruptors were powerful, but they were also dangerous. Humanity had barely scratched the surface of the Clarth tech, and the unknown dangers of experimenting with alien energy were not lost on him. There was a moral dilemma. Was it ethical to use this alien technology to wage war against the very species that had brought Earth to its knees? The question gnawed at him, but the reality was that humanity had no choice but to use the weapon to survive. Meanwhile, Captain Maya Rivers, who had become humanity's symbol of resistance, continued to lead humanity's military forces with tactical brilliance. Rivers knew that while Dr. Anderson's discoveries were invaluable, humanity could not rely solely on advanced weaponry. The war was as much about human ingenuity and tactics as it was about technology. Humanity's military leaders had to adapt, evolve, and continue using their strategic creativity to outsmart the superior alien forces. Captain Hayes pushed her forces to not only rely on the new energy disruptors, but also to maintain their guerrilla tactics, utilizing the terrain and environment to their advantage. The combination of human adaptability, alien technology, and strategic leadership made humanity a force that the Clarth had underestimated from the very beginning. After Earth's initial victories, the Clarth Empire was forced to rethink their strategy. The human resistance had stunned them, disrupting their initial assumptions about humanity's weakness. However, the Clarth, a race with centuries of intergalactic dominance, were not about to let a backwater planet thwart their ambitions. Enraged by their initial setbacks, they unleashed their full military might upon Earth in retaliation. The Clarth fleet grew in number and strength, reinforcing their massive warships with newly developed, deadly weapons designed specifically to destroy Earth's resistance. Their orbital bombardments began in earnest. Using advanced plasma weapons, they began obliterating Earth's infrastructure from orbit, targeting cities, military bases, and key supply lines. Major cities such as New York, Tokyo, Berlin, and Rio de Janeiro were reduced to rubble within hours. Their buildings reduced to ash and their populations decimated in the blink of an eye. The first wave of the Clarth retaliation was an overwhelming show of force. Earth's defenses were immediately crippled. Global communication systems were destroyed, satellite networks went dark, and Earth's military leadership was fractured under the weight of the attack. The Clarth warships, equipped with hyper-advanced weapons and shielding systems, moved in to wipe out any remaining human resistance on the planet's surface. Earth, once so confident in its newfound strength, was now once again on the brink of annihilation. Humanity's spirit was tested as bombs rained down, and entire cities vanished from the map. The Clarth believed that this time, victory would be inevitable. The devastating attack seemed designed to break humanity's resolve completely, but what they didn't expect was the resilience and resourcefulness of humanity. As Earth's cities burned and buildings collapsed, something began to stir in the hearts of the human population, the will to fight back. Despite the near-total devastation caused by the Clarth retaliation, humanity was far from finished. Earth's resistance forces quickly regrouped, adapting to the Clarth's overwhelming firepower. The global defense was a patchwork of small, desperate groups working together to form a unified resistance. The human military, though battered, was never broken. They had learned how to adapt quickly, and they used their newfound alien technology to disrupt the Clarth's superior systems. Captain Maya Hayes, who had proven her leadership in the earlier stages of the war, took the reins of the counteroffensive. Under her command, humanity began using the reverse-engineered Clarth ships and laser-based artillery with unparalleled tactical brilliance. These new weapons, though still crude compared to the Clarth's arsenal, were enough to challenge the Yatta invaders. Human ingenuity played a key role in the counterattack. Using guerrilla tactics, small, highly mobile human resistance units struck Vorek supply lines, communication relays, and key military outposts. These operations were designed to disrupt the Clarth's command systems and slow their advance. The Clarth, who had relied on overwhelming firepower to win, found themselves caught off guard by the unexpected tactics employed by Earth's resistance. Ambushes and hit-and-run attacks disoriented the Vorek fleet, forcing them to change their approach. The Vorek, though technologically superior, were not prepared to face the resilience and creative strategies that humanity had developed in such a short amount of time. The small victories scattered across Earth's territories slowly began to build into something bigger. As the Clarth fleet was disrupted, humanity's forces gained momentum, and the fight for Earth shifted in their favor. Captain Maya Hayes was the heart of humanity's resistance. Her leadership had already been pivotal in the earlier stages of the war, but now, with the Vorek Empire's counterattack underway, her strategic genius was more crucial than ever. With the Clarth Empire's forces attacking Earth cities and military bases, Captain Hayes orchestrated the counteroffensive, bringing humanity's fragmented forces together into a cohesive fighting force. As the Clarth's orbital bombardments tore through the planet, Captain Hayes led humanity's forces in counterattacks. Her tactics were ruthless and effective, focusing on precision strikes and strategic retreats to tire out the Clarth's forces and chip away at their superior technology. Captain Hayes used the reverse-engineered Clarth ships to create distraction points for the enemy, allowing Earth's smaller fighter crafts to engage in targeted strikes on alien supply ships and defense structures. Humanity, though outnumbered, had learned to use their enemies' weaknesses against them. One of the most significant moments of Captain Hayes' leadership came when she rallied humanity's resistance forces for a final push to defend Earth's last stronghold, New Earth. The Clarth had begun their assault on the city, hoping to capture the capital and break humanity's resolve. Captain Hayes, knowing this was humanity's final stand, coordinated a massive counterattack. Despite the Clarth's superior numbers, humanity's forces, under her leadership, fought with everything they had. They made their stand in the heart of Earth's capital, New Earth, determined to protect the symbol of human resilience at all costs. Her leadership inspired humanity to believe in their ability to win against all odds. Captain Hayes' words to her soldiers became a rallying cry. "This is our home. We fight not for survival alone, but to show the galaxy that humanity can never be crushed. We will not be slaves. We will not be conquered." Humanity's resilience and creativity had become their greatest strengths in the war against the Clarth Empire, but despite their unexpected victories, Earth's resistance still faced seemingly insurmountable odds. The Clarth fleet was an imposing force, its technological superiority unmatched by anything Earth had ever encountered. But in the heat of battle, as the human resistance continued to push back against the Clarth invaders, Earth's scientists and military leaders made a groundbreaking discovery, one that would change the course of the war. In the aftermath of their hit-and-run attacks, Dr. Samuel Cruz and his team had been combing through the debris of the Clarth warships, searching for any kind of weakness or vulnerability that could be exploited. After analyzing captured technology and studying the energy systems powering the Clarth fleet, Dr. Cruz made a startling revelation. The Clarth ships, despite their powerful shields and massive firepower, had a critical weakness in their energy core systems. The Clarth fleet relied on centralized power cores to supply energy to their weapons and shields. These power cores, while incredibly efficient, were not invulnerable. Under the right circumstances, they could be overloaded, rendering the Clarth ships defenseless. Dr. Cruz's discovery was a game-changer. If humanity could target these critical energy core systems, they could cripple the entire Clarth fleet in one decisive strike. This information was the key to victory, but the challenge would be turning this knowledge into action. The discovery of the Clarth's weakness was a turning point, not just because it offered humanity a chance to win, but because it showed the Clarth Empire that they were not invincible. The Clarth's overconfidence had been their greatest flaw, and now humanity had a weapon, a vulnerability that could tip the balance of power in their favor. With the discovery of the Clarth's vulnerability in their energy core systems, the Earth Defense Council and military leaders began devising a risky plan to strike at the heart of the Vorek fleet. The two-pronged attack would be humanity's final chance to deal a devastating blow to the Clarth Empire and secure their survival. The plan was ambitious and dangerous. The first part of the mission was an infiltration. A small, elite team, led by Captain Maya Hayes, would board the Clarth flagship. Their goal was to sabotage the Clarth Central Command Center and disable their fleet's coordination systems, preventing the Clarth Empire from launching a counterattack. This mission required stealth, precision, and advanced tactics, as the Clarth flagship was the nerve center of their military operations. The second part of the plan was an all-out assault. Humanity's newly developed weaponry, including the energy disruptors developed by Dr. Cruz, would be deployed to disable the Clarth's energy cores. This would require a coordinated attack from Earth's military forces, targeting critical weak points in the Clarth warship's energy systems. Both operations had to be perfectly synchronized. The infiltration team, led by Captain Hayes, would create a diversion by sabotaging the Clarth flagship, allowing the main fleet to strike at the Clarth's weak points. The Clarth fleet would be crippled, and Earth's forces could then move in for the final push. As the final assault plan began to take shape, Captain Maya Hayes realized the magnitude of what was at stake. She had been the leader of humanity's resistance since the beginning, guiding her soldiers through the toughest of battles. But as the final plan unfolded, she came to a harsh realization. This mission could require her to make the ultimate sacrifice for humanity's survival. The infiltration mission was highly dangerous, and Captain Hayes knew that there was a strong possibility she wouldn't make it back. The Clarth flagship was a fortress, and infiltrating it was akin to entering the lion's den. To ensure the success of the final assault, she would have to lead the charge and stay behind to ensure the mission's success. Despite the risks, Captain Hayes made the decision to lead the infiltration team. She had always been the one to take charge in moments of crisis, but this time, the stakes were higher than ever. Humanity's survival depended on this mission, and she knew that sacrifice was often the price of victory. In a private moment with her trusted lieutenant, Sergeant Luke Owens, Hayes expressed the weight of her decision. "If I don't make it back, Earth's survival is in your hands. This mission, this fight is for all of us. You've been with me through every step of this war, but this is where we take a stand. If we're going to win, it has to be now." Her voice was resolute, but there was an undercurrent of grief. The reality that this could be her final mission was something she had to come to terms with. As the final assault neared, Captain Hayes gathered her team and delivered a speech that would resonate through history. "We fight for more than just Earth. We fight for our families, our children, our future, and no matter the cost, we will not back down." Her words ignited the fire of resolve in her soldiers, reinforcing the belief that humanity could defeat any enemy, even the Clarth Empire. The moment had come. The final assault was humanity's last chance to turn the tide in their favor. After months of desperate struggle and hard-fought victories, Captain Maya Hayes and her team were leading the charge against the Clarth Empire, determined to end the war and secure humanity's place in the galaxy. The final battle would take place in Earth's orbit, with humanity's forces attacking the Clarth fleet, while simultaneously launching a ground assault on their central command centers. Humanity's military forces, bolstered by reverse-engineered Clarth technology, now had an advantage. Dr. Samuel Cruz's energy disruptors, combined with the advanced spacecraft humanity had captured, were key to the attack. Captain Hayes knew that this was not just about survival. It was about sending a message to the galaxy. Earth is not to be underestimated. As Earth's fleet launched into space, the stakes were higher than ever. Humanity's forces moved into position around Earth's orbit, coordinating their efforts with military precision. Each ship in the human fleet was equipped with the newest alien tech, from energy disruptors to alien shields, making them a force to be reckoned with. But despite these advancements, Earth's fleet was still facing an overwhelming enemy. The Clarth warships, massive and heavily armed, were far more powerful, and Earth's forces had to make up for their technological inferiority with strategy, ingenuity, and courage. Captain Hayes's command ship, the Vanguard, led the charge. From her position at the helm, she coordinated the human fleet's movements, ensuring they took full advantage of the Clarth's weaknesses. The Clarth Empire, despite their massive size and power, had never encountered humanity's tactical creativity. Earth's hit-and-run attacks, disruptive tactics, and coordination with their alien allies gave them an edge. Captain Hayes and her crew fought with the understanding that this would be their final stand. Either they succeeded, or humanity would be completely wiped out. The ground forces launched their attack at the same time. They had to infiltrate the Clarth's command center, located in the heart of the Clarth flagship. Humanity's best soldiers and military tacticians, including Lieutenant Jacob Turner, the leader of the Special Forces unit, stormed the alien flagship. The mission was clear: to disable the enemy's control systems, deprive the Clarth of their centralized command, and pave the way for a final victory. Despite Earth's preparations and their superior tactics, the Clarth Empire was far from finished. As the battle unfolded, humanity quickly realized that the Clarth were not merely fighting to win. They were determined to make humanity pay dearly for every inch of ground. Clarth warships, now on high alert, deployed advanced defensive countermeasures that Earth had not anticipated. Gravity mines, laser fields, and energy barriers began appearing in space, making navigation and offensive strikes incredibly difficult for human ships. Clarth fighters swarmed in, engaging in dogfights with humanity's ships, while the alien, capital ships fired devastating plasma beams at Earth's fleet, knocking out entire battalions in one shot. The Clarth's retaliation was swift and brutal. As humanity fought back, Captain Hayes led her forces with incredible determination, staying focused on their mission despite the heavy losses they sustained. Clarth drones and automated defense systems targeted every move Earth's military made, trying to stop them at every turn. But the Clarth Empire, for all its technological might, was caught off guard by humanity's determination and unpredictability. The human fleet pushed forward, employing creative strategies to disrupt the Clarth's command network and use their advanced alien tech to turn the tide of battle. Captain Hayes, as always, was at the forefront of the fight. With every counterattack by the Clarth, she guided her soldiers, making decisions in the heat of battle. The energy disruptors now played a pivotal role in the fight, rendering the Clarth warships' shields useless and allowing human forces to hit vulnerable points. The Clarth Empire's reliance on their overwhelming firepower was their biggest mistake, as they underestimated the human resistance's ability to adapt. Just as humanity seemed to gain momentum, the Clarth Empire fought back with greater fury. The final assault was a race against time, and Earth's forces had to act quickly before the Clarth Empire could regroup. The Vorek flagship was now on the defensive. Human forces had made significant inroads, but their advantage was slipping. As the Clarth's retaliation grew fiercer, ships were blown out of the sky, and entire battalions were wiped out in massive firestorms. For every Clarth ship destroyed, there seemed to be two more coming from the void. The final assault had turned into an all-out war for survival. Captain Hayes and her crew fought through exhaustion and loss, realizing that the final blow had to come soon. As the battle raged on, Earth's forces pushed forward into the heart of the Clarth flagship. But the Clarth Empire's defenses had been designed to withstand every possible human tactic. With the Vorek flagship's core system rapidly becoming vulnerable, Captain Hayes ordered her forces to make a final push. In a desperate gamble, Captain Hayes coordinated the final attack on the Clarth Empire's central command, targeting their weakness. The energy disruptors were deployed on a massive scale, weakening the Clarth's fleet and their defensive capabilities. It was a last-ditch effort, with human casualties mounting and time running out. After the long and grueling battle, Earth's forces finally found themselves on the precipice of victory. The Clarth Empire, once a dominant force in the galaxy, had been caught off guard by the human resistance, and now their fate was sealed. The final stage of humanity's struggle was a coordinated strike to disable the Clarth flagship and their central command system, the heart of their overwhelming military presence. With Captain Maya Hayes leading the charge, Earth's fleet launched their final offensive. The plan was simple but dangerous. The energy disruptors, developed by Dr. Samuel Cruz, were humanity's most effective weapon, and they were going to be used to bring down the Clarth flagship once and for all. These disruptors, which had proven successful in smaller battles, were now the key to humanity's victory. The final assault unfolded in the darkness of space, with Earth's advanced warships and alien tech making their way toward the Clarth flagship, a massive ship that dwarfed anything humanity had ever encountered. The Clarth Empire, believing their flagship to be invulnerable, had underestimated the sheer willpower of humanity and the ingenuity that had driven Earth's soldiers and scientists to adapt and fight back. As the human fleet closed in on the flagship, the energy disruptors were deployed in strategic locations, aimed directly at the vulnerable power cores that kept the Clarth's fleet operational. The human forces fired their first volley of energy disruptors, sending devastating energy pulses that overloaded the Clarth flagship's defense shields. The Clarth's advanced technology, which had once been a symbol of their superiority, began to falter. The flagship's shields failed, and its weapon systems became unresponsive, leaving it vulnerable to Earth's counteroffensive. With the flagship's defenses collapsing, the human fleet launched an all-out final strike. Explosions rang through the Clarth flagship, and Earth's forces pushed forward, determined to bring the enemy down for good. But despite the early successes, Captain Hayes knew that victory would come at a cost. As the human forces pressed on, Captain Hayes made a devastating realization. The final destruction of the Clarth flagship would require her to stay behind. To ensure that the final blow would land, Captain Hayes made the decision to stay behind and sabotage the flagship's core systems personally. Her team was ordered to escape, knowing that if they didn't act quickly, they would lose the chance to finish the mission. In the final moments of the battle, Captain Hayes, leading from the front, delivered her last order. "This is where I make my stand. You have to finish this. The galaxy won't be the same and Earth will have a future." Her voice, though filled with resolve, trembled with the weight of the sacrifice she was about to make. As her team escaped to safety, Captain Hayes boarded a stricken vessel to make her way to the Clarth flagship's central core, setting the stage for the final strike. She knew her mission was a one-way trip. She would make sure that the Clarth flagship's destruction would be humanity's last victory. In the final moments, as she planted the last charges into the flagship's central core, Captain Hayes looked up at the stars outside the window, knowing she had given everything for her people. For Earth, for humanity's future, for our children, for the unknown, we've made our stand. Now it's their turn to remember us. The explosion that followed was nothing short of cataclysmic, as the Clarth flagship was destroyed in a final burst of energy that rippled through the surrounding space. With the Clarth flagship destroyed, humanity emerged victorious. but not without significant loss. The battle had cost Earth more than just resources. It had claimed the lives of many brave soldiers, including the life of Captain Maya Hayes, whose sacrifice would go down in history as a symbol of humanity's resolve and strength. The Zarthar Empire, though seemingly defeated for the time being, still loomed as a threat to humanity's future. But Earth, having defeated the Clarth Empire, knew that their future was no longer uncertain. Humanity had proven to the galaxy that they were no longer weak, no longer the species that could be ignored or subjugated. Earth's leadership, now led by those who had survived the battle, began to plan for the future, using the resources gained from their victory to strengthen Earth's defenses and prepare for what was to come. The aftermath was bittersweet. The celebrations were subdued as Earth mourned its losses, especially the sacrifice of Captain Hayes. Her name would be remembered not just as a military leader, but as a symbol of humanity's strength and sacrifice. As the human resistance forces buried their dead and celebrated their hard-earned victory, they did so with the knowledge that the war had taken its toll. The future of Earth was uncertain, but for the first time, humanity stood proud and united as a force to be reckoned with in the galaxy. Dr. Samuel Cruz, standing in front of a monument dedicated to Captain Hayes, addressed the people of Earth. "We have lost much, but we have gained more. Today we stand as a species that cannot be broken. Our journey is not over, but we will face the future with strength, resilience, and unity. The galaxy will remember us. The galaxy will know who we are. We are the human race, and we will never fall." Though the Zarthar Empire still posed a threat, Earth had shown that it was no longer the fragile species that once cowered in the darkness of space. Humanity had earned its place in the galaxy, and the galaxy would have to learn to reckon with the power of Earth. With the Clarth Empire's defeat, Earth was left standing, battered but not broken. Humanity's victory against an empire far stronger and more advanced had not just secured their survival, but had also cemented their place as a new force in the galaxy. The monumental sacrifice of Captain Maya Hayes, alongside the resilience and ingenuity of the human resistance, became the foundation of humanity's newfound status. They were no longer the weak, defenseless species that had been pushed to the brink of annihilation by the Clarth. Humanity had risen from the ashes and had proven that it was more than capable of holding its own against the most powerful empires the galaxy had ever known. As Earth began to rebuild, the victory was not simply about survival. It was about the future humanity could now shape. The alien technology that Earth had captured during the war had been reverse-engineered and used to advance humanity's capabilities in ways previously unimaginable. Cities that had been destroyed were being rebuilt with advanced energy systems, and new spaceports and military defenses were established to prepare for future challenges. Humanity's leadership had proven its strength and vision, but it was not the time to rest on their laurels. Earth's military had been bolstered by their new alliances with previously neutral species, and those they had fought alongside in the war. The Zilari, the Graal, and several others now stood as allies to humanity, recognizing that the Clarth defeat was not just a win for Earth, but a victory for the galaxy at large. These new alliances were crucial, as they marked the beginning of galactic diplomacy for Earth. Together, they had not only defeated a common enemy, but had also forged a bond that could reshape the future of the galaxy. Humanity, inspired by Captain Hayes' sacrifice and the many heroes of the Resistance, now looked to the stars with a renewed sense of purpose. Earth was no longer just a backwater planet. It had proven itself to be a resilient and resourceful species, capable of survival and victory against overwhelming odds. The Clarth Empire's fall had become a symbol of hope, not just for Earth, but for the oppressed species across the galaxy, who had long suffered under the yoke of tyranny. Now, those species turned to Earth, the new beacon of hope. Humanity's transformation from insignificant to influential was not an overnight development. It was the result of sacrifice, bravery, and unwavering determination. After defeating the Clarth Empire, Humanity now had the respect of galactic powers. Earth had proven itself to be a fighting force, capable of leading and coexisting with more established empires. The Zalari had openly declared their admiration for Earth's ability to adapt and overcome. The Graal had begun to form trade agreements with Earth, recognizing the strategic importance of Earth's position in the galaxy. Even species that had been neutral in the war were beginning to see humanity as a key player in galactic affairs. Captain Hayes' sacrifice had become the defining moment for humanity. Her courage, leadership, and selflessness embodied the spirit of Earth, a world that would not back down in the face of adversity. Her death was not just a loss, but a symbol of humanity's capacity to fight and sacrifice for their future. Across the galaxy, the tale of Earth's struggle spread, and humanity became a beacon of strength and resilience for other species who had once been oppressed. As Earth's influence grew, humanity found itself at the center of galactic diplomacy. Their military prowess, along with their ability to form strategic alliances, made them a critical power in the galaxy. The Galactic Council, once dominated by the most established and powerful species, now had to recognize Earth's voice. Humanity had earned its place in the galactic order, and Earth's representatives began to play a key role in galactic decision-making. With the defeat of the Clarth Empire, Earth's role shifted from a passive observer of galactic affairs to an active participant in shaping the future of the stars. Earth now looked to the galactic horizon, prepared to explore new worlds, form new alliances, and continue its journey as a galactic power. Humanity had proven itself and was no longer seen as an insignificant species. Instead, it was a force that demanded respect. Though Earth had won and humanity had earned its place among the stars, there was still much work to be done. The Zarthar Empire, a mysterious and ruthless alien faction, had been watching humanity's rise, and they were not about to let Earth's newfound power go unchecked. The Zarthar were known for their ruthless methods and their desire for control over the galaxy, and they had already begun to make preparations to challenge Earth's newly established position. While humanity's victory over the Clarth Empire had given them a solid foothold, they knew that peace was not a guarantee. Earth's leaders and military forces began preparing for the next phase of their journey, knowing that there would always be new challenges. Dr. Samuel Cruz, now recognized as one of Earth's greatest scientists, continued to work on developing new technologies, preparing Earth for any threats that might emerge. Humanity's military forces were expanded, and Earth began building alliances with neutral species who had long observed the rise of this new galactic power. The future was uncertain, and Earth's leaders remained vigilant, aware that their place in the galaxy could be challenged at any moment. But one thing was clear: humanity had earned its place, and Earth was no longer the underestimated planet it once was. As humanity looked to the future, the memory of Captain Hayes' sacrifice and the victory over the Clarth Empire lived on as a reminder of what humanity was capable of. They had faced the impossible and emerged victorious. They had secured their place in the galaxy, and Earth's legacy would be written into the stars for generations to come. The Zarthar Empire may still pose a threat, but humanity had learned an important lesson. They were never again going to be victims. Humanity would meet the future head-on, knowing that, no matter what came their way, they could overcome it, just as they had overcome the Clarth Empire.